Nick Robertson is doing everything he can to secure his spot at the most crucial time of the year. With the playoffs approaching, every shift, every puck touch, every second on the ice can mean the difference between sitting on the bench or making history. And on Saturday, he sent a loud and clear message. He wants to be in the lineup for Game 1. After 3 games as a healthy scratch, Robertson came back like he had never left. Not only did he help the Toronto Maple Leafs beat the Columbus Blue Jackets 5-0, but he also scored the first 2 goals of the game and fired up the crowd. But the most impressive part was how he did it. On the first goal, it all started with aggressive pressure from Steven Lorentz on Elvis Merzlikins. The goalie tried to pass the puck to Zach Werenski, but it deflected off Werenski's skate. That's when Pontus Holmberg, alert to rebound, found Robertson at just the right time. And he didn't miss. It was his 13th goal of the season, and Toronto was on the board. Almost a full period later, the play started with Max Domi creating a turnover. Robertson received the puck, looked at the goalie, and with his trademark move, fired a perfect 5-hole shot. His second of the night, 14th of the season, and clear proof that his finishing is among the best on the team. And there's another detail that could change everything. Anthony Stolarz, one of the Leafs goalies, didn't hesitate. He has an elite shot. More than that, Stolarz admitted he's been fooled several times in practice by that same type of shot. He knows exactly where to place it. If you give him space, he's going to score. Simple as that. And that's Nick Robertson's edge. He doesn't need 5 straight games to get into rhythm. He comes out of the press box, throws on the jersey, steps on the ice, and delivers. That's rare. And that, my friends, matters a lot when it's time to set a playoff roster. Before we keep going, help strengthen the channel. Hit that like button on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. That helps us keep bringing you these in-depth, emotional, high-quality breakdowns. When you interact, YouTube understands this is relevant content, and that makes all the difference. Let's grow this channel together. Robertson has returned to the lineup 7 times this season after being scratched. And in those 7 games, he scored 4 goals. The guy turns absence into motivation. He even said after the game that he uses that time off as a reset. Every time he comes back, it's like he has something to prove. And he does. It gives you even more drive to come back and be effective, he said. And I think I did that tonight. Now it's about resting, preparing, and keeping the same mindset for the next game. So far, it's 14 goals and 7 assists in 63 games this season. Not bad for someone with limited minutes, who's now on the verge of surpassing his career high. And there are 6 games left. If he keeps this pace, he'll not only break his personal record, he'll crank up the pressure to be in the starting lineup come playoff time. Even head coach Craig Berube acknowledged that Robertson came back a little hungrier. He said the forward has speed, finishing, and offensive instincts, and has been playing solid hockey overall. Sometimes you make lineup decisions, said Berube, but Nick just needs to manage the puck a bit better. Keep it simple, get it in, get it out. And when he does that, he capitalizes on his chances. And that's the balance Robertson is chasing. Being lethal offensively without compromising defensively, holding on to possession, playing a more physical and mature game. Even though he's not the biggest guy, he wants to disrupt opponents, finish his checks, slow down transitions, and keep the intensity high. Every single shift. Behind the scenes, he shows his commitment too. He trains hard alongside Philippe Myers, another player trying to earn his spot. They push each other, compete, and keep the vibe positive even when they're out of the lineup. We got a great group in here, and that really helps, Robertson shared. Against Columbus, with David Camp and Jake McCabe out, Robertson got his shot, and he seized it with both hands. Again, and maybe now, he's finally convinced the coaching staff that he can be more than a support player. He can be a key piece. Because when the team needs a goal, Nick Robertson delivers. He's proven it time and time again. But maybe, just maybe, this is the moment he finally locks in his playoff spot. So, what do you think? Does Robertson deserve that roster spot? What does he need to show in the next few games to secure it for good? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you think. The Toronto Maple Leafs are facing a situation that may not seem urgent at first glance, but behind the scenes, it could be a ticking time bomb ready to explode. with the end of the 2024-25 season approaching. So there's a crucial moment for a number of players and contracts that could shape the franchise's future. And the scenario is more delicate than it seems. Behind the NHL spotlight, there's a quiet yet intense movement. Players from college and international leagues who are reaching the end of their commitments are now eligible to sign entry-level contracts. It's a kind of parallel market, but a highly strategic one. And within this dynamic, the Toronto Maple Leafs have begun to make moves. General Manager Brad Treliving has taken the first steps. He used this window to bring in three names, Boria Vallis, Luke Hames, and John Prokop. Each comes from a different background, but all share one thing in common. Their bets to try to replenish a development system that was weakened after the major decisions made at the last trade deadline. Fraser Minton and Nikita Grebyankin, two of the organization's top prospects, were traded. Along with them, Toronto gave up two valuable first-round picks, all in the name of an aggressive push to bolster the main roster for a potential playoff run. But now, the question remains, was it worth it? That's not the only concern. The situation goes beyond the signings already made. The window is still open, and there's a significant number of NCAA prospects linked to the Leafs who haven't received offers. And time is ticking. Pressure is mounting. Some of these players have until August 15th, 2025, to sign, or else Toronto loses their rights with no compensation. Before I tell you who these players are and why they may be more important than they seem, hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel. That really helps our work, strengthens the community we're building here, and ensures you stay up to date with everything happening behind the scenes in the NHL. Insightful info, analysis, and that unique perspective you only find here. Click it and let's keep going. What makes this window so unique is the type of talent that usually emerges at this moment. Remember the impact that players like Cale Makar, Luke Hughes, and Matthew Knies had when they finished their college seasons? All of them signed right after the NCAA ended and debuted in the NHL almost immediately, some even contributing in the playoffs. That's why timing with these athletes is crucial. The problem? The Leafs seem to be missing that timing. Despite having several eligible players still tied to the franchise, there's no indication that any of them are close to being brought in, and their recent history doesn't inspire confidence. Last season, the team already lost two names due to inaction, Vidi Miettinen and Brandon Lisowski, two promising prospects who ended up moving on, far from Toronto. Miettinen, from Finland, returned home and had a solid season in the country's top league, the Liga, splitting time between Kulpa and Kuku. Lisowski, meanwhile, kept playing in the WHL, was traded to Victoria Royals, and played a key role in the playoffs. But the most surprising part was his decision to accept a spot at Colorado College, marking a new era in the NCAA, which now allows major junior players to join the college system, something that could drastically reshape talent development. And if things were already worried with those two, now three more players are in limbo. Mike Koster, Wyatt Shingoweth, and John Fusco. All have interesting backgrounds, but so far, no offer from the Leafs. Koster, for example, was a fifth-round pick in 2019 and spent 5 years developing at the University of Minnesota. He captained the team for 2 seasons, played alongside Matthew Knies, and recorded 89 points in 180 games. A defenseman with leadership consistency and tactical awareness. Yet, no NHL contract. He ended up signing with the Iowa Heartlanders in the ECHL, a league well below the level expected for someone with his resume. Shingoweth, drafted in 2020, also saw his career cool off. With a profile as a defensive center, he had little impact at Western Michigan University. Over 4 years, he totaled just 15 points in 82 games. No contract, no defined league, and no clear projection for the future. He's now a clear example of a pick that didn't pan out. But was that entirely his fault? And then there's John Fusco, also drafted in 2020, coming from a trade with the San Jose Sharks. Fusco started slow at Harvard, but developed significantly after transferring to Dartmouth College. He finished with 51 points in 112 games, showing a physical and aggressive style, even as a defenseman with average size. He seems to have earned at least a shot in the pro system, but the Leafs' silence speaks volumes. At this point, We need to raise an important question. How far should you go in sacrificing long-term development in the name of short-term success? Trailerving took an aggressive approach, aiming to win now. But what happens when that gamble doesn't pay off? What's left for the future? These players, who today may seem like just stats, could have become valuable options in a rebuilding roster, or at the very least trade assets. Losing talent for nothing might feel insignificant short-term, but in the NHL's competitive landscape, it's the kind of mistake that adds up and becomes costly. And you, Leafs fan or just a hockey enthusiast, what do you think of the situation? Is Toronto right to move on from these names? Or are they giving up potential contributors due to a lack of long-term vision? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your take. And of course, if you enjoy this type of deep dive content, check out this video right here. You don't want to miss it.